people come from all walks of life. They all have lives they lead. Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. And I want to welcome back my guest, Joanne Dennis. She's been on the show before. This time, we're going to get to see some of her beautiful work. Welcome back, Joanne.
Thank you, Nancy. It's nice to see you today.
Thank you. Now, I know you last time when you were on the show, unfortunately, I didn't know that I could do this screen sharing thing. So now you've taught me how to do that so that we can actually see some of your work, right?
Yes.
Which is really, really nice. And so, first of all, I just want to do a little recap. When did you first start painting?
I started painting again, like when I was a child. I painted in high school and as I went into university, and then I stopped for about 20 years. And so when I restarted painting, my youngest son was 2 years old. So he is now 25.
Okay.
So yeah, so over 20 years now.
All right.
And yeah, so it's been, and things have just evolved. Right. So it's like we've got to the point where now I'm in a studio, like you can see in the background. This is my studio. Welcome to it.
Very good. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. So now some of your paintings are like a series and some are individual paintings. Is that correct?
Yes. So typically what tends to happen is as far as my inventory of art, I have quite a bit. And part of the reason for that is that I've got some focused tasks that I work on in terms of creating series. So I have a series called Surrey Parks. I also have a series called Door. There's a Door series, and there's also a abstract series. I haven't been doing a lot of abstracts lately, but you can see one in the background there.
Yes.
And I also originally started with a city series. So I have like a few different series that I continuously add to each series as I go along, depending on my mood and what's happening. And then I also have a lot of art that is based on doing classes. So what tends to happen is when I'm doing a class, I'll do a demonstration of a piece that I'm teaching them how to do. And so I'll have a lot of other things in the mix that are not part of the series because of the classes.
Right. Well, can we start looking at some of your work? I'm really anxious for everybody to, myself included, to everybody to see them.
Absolutely. So I'll start with the Surrey Park series and see if I can get the screen share happening. So this is actually one that I love this one because it's to do with the goose and the gander and their little goslings.
Right.
That I basically was riding my bicycle through this through my neighborhood, and there's this tiny little sort of green space in Fraser Heights here where there's a duck pond, and it's been preserved specifically because these birds are nesting there. Right. And so I was riding my bike down the path, and lo and behold, I came around the corner, and here they were right in front of me. So so I captured them on photo before the gander went after me, and I painted this piece. So I really enjoy this piece for that reason, because it was an experience that went with the park, right?
That's nice. Yeah, it's lovely too. Yeah, and you can feel yourself there. I mean, it's so the way you painted it, you know.
Yeah, it was very loose and free, and I really enjoy that about it as well. So I do use different techniques and styles when I'm painting as well. Okay. So so you'll notice as I go through some of these pieces that it'll change a bit. Okay. So this is going to be perfect because I have quite a few photos in this folder. So I'm just going to scroll through, see if I can get the next one. There we go. Oh. So this one is a birdhouse tree that is located in Fleetwood Park. And I call this one Where Have All the Birds Gone? Because I didn't have any birds in it. But I actually wrote a poem to go with it. And the poem's all about, where have all the birds gone? So the piece itself, I basically did it sort of I took the photo in the fall, I remember, and it was probably late fall, which is part of the reason that there are no birds. But anyways, I realized that afterwards when I painted, and I thought, I just painted a birdhouse tree without any birds in it. But then that just generated a story all of a sudden, so I went with it.
Oh, marvelous, though. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So I'll go to see if I can get to the next one. This one is Crescent Beach. So in Crescent Beach, I was actually doing a show out in Crescent Beach. They have a beautiful little studio there that the city of Surrey runs, and they have artists coming and going in that studio. And it's right on the beach, and you can see the sunset and the sunrise there beautifully. So I was capturing that with a lot of, this one particular has a lot of, what's the right word, texture in it.
Right.
So that's another way that I paint often, is I'll put a lot of texture in my pieces, so you can really see it in the waves and the sand in the foreground kind of thing.
Right.
Because with acrylic paints, it's actually great because they are so versatile. And I really love working in acrylic for that reason.
Mhm.
The versatility of acrylics has always fascinated me, because I can add different mediums to create texture. I can smooth it out and make it look like an oil painting. I can do all kinds of things with acrylics. And another reason I enjoy working with them is because they're low odor, and I don't have problems with, I typically will get, if I'm not careful, especially in my studio, I'll get headaches from trying to work with oils, because oils give off so much
Right.
odor. So, so acrylics have always been my favorite.
Very good.
Yeah, and there's it blowing up a little bit. You can see that texture a bit more.
And
And I did
yeah,
put a bird in that one.
almost missed the bird there.
Yeah, yeah.
With
I
the-
usually hide things like that in there. So here's another one that really shows the texture as well. And this is also Crescent Beach, but at a different time of day, where you could actually see the islands.
Mhm.
And I applied different materials to the piece. So there are things that you can do around also gluing on specialty papers and things like that. So I was having a little bit of fun on this one with using some, it's actually a wallpaper that's textured that you can put on a wall. And so I glued that on and created the sand that way. And then I put mediums on to generate wave and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of a fun way to represent that as well.
Cool. That's fascinating. Yeah. So for those of viewers that are not out here, we're talking about Surrey, BC area.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So this one's also Fleetwood Park. It tends to have these hedges that are sort of in a maze. I call this one hedge maze, and they have a lot of beautiful little structures as well that are, sort of ornamental pieces throughout the park. So it's actually one of my favorite parts to hang out in, because it's really close by. It's a great place to walk the dogs. And they really do a great job of putting in florals in the summertime, but at any time of year, it's actually quite lovely because of the way they've done all of this architecture to the park.
Right, for sure. Yeah, it's really lovely.
And this is also in that same park. So this is actually, I forgot, they have it's a labyrinth in the park. So this is my representation of the labyrinth.
Okay.
And that labyrinth is not well known in Surrey. That's actually another reason I like the parks in Surrey, because when we go to the parks, there's always interesting things that the city has put in that if you don't know about that, you're kind of missing out, So that's one of the reasons I'm also doing the Surrey Park series.
Right. Very good.
So, and if this kind of gives you a perspective on the size of the pieces that I've done as well here. So some of them are smaller, right? Some are quite small, but they can be, organized in a series on a wall and really kind of fit together nicely. So that's what that's about there.
Very good.
This one is the 100,001 Steps. So this is out in White Rock area,
Mhm.
and the 1,001 Steps. I actually wrote a little poem to go with that one too. I like writing poems to go with the art, and that particular one. If you haven't done the 1,001 Steps, it's like, it's so cool to be at the top and looking down. It's very geometric, and it's kind of like a maze as well, which is part of the reason I captured it this way.
Mhm.
It's almost like, okay, where is this thing going, right? And the when you're at the top of the hill looking down, it's like you're drawn into going down, but it's very steep going down to the beach. And once you're down there, you look up and you got to go back up, and you're just like, oh no.
Caught in a trap of back and forth.
Yeah, you gotta be ready to do the cardio that goes with that one. And this one's Redwood Park. So Redwood Park has this really cute set of birdhouses all over. And there's this, it's like a little village of elves almost, you know?
That's
and,
what I was thinking. Yes.
yeah, it's like that. And it's just really fun. People love bringing their kids there, and a lot of kids actually, there's parents that are actually getting their kids to make little birdhouses to leave at the park as well. So the little collection continues to grow.
Nice.
And it's just such a neat thing, you know?
Yes. Very nice. I believe in fairies. I think in elves, and I believe they live in forests.
So this one's Serpentine Fen, and I wanted to capture that. I love Serpentine Fen. It is an ecological reserve as well. So typically at Serpentine Fen, there is actually a lot of wildlife. This will be later in the season, this particular one, because of all the yellow grass. And it's just the most peaceful place. I mean, it's just such a beautiful, peaceful place to just sit, relax, and enjoy the space. And on a good day, you're going to see a lot of birds, kind of thing. So maybe I should add a few birds to that one. This is another park that a lot of people don't know about. Now, this one's right down the hill from me, up in Fraser Heights here. Okay. This is called Surrey Bend. And Surrey Bend is also a dog run park. So, but it's got a lot of trails that are really interesting. It's right along the Fraser River, and they have these really fun looking structures in the park as well. And I just happened to be there on a snowy day, and I thought, well, this is really neat the way this looks when there's snow. So I captured that one for that, for, you know, the rare events of snow in our area. And when you see it on a wall, it kind of fits within a space quite nicely because of its geometrics as well.
Yeah, I love it there.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So there's these really neat little tools I can use to do that. This is Surrey Lake. Surrey Lake is right down 152nd, and it's close to 72nd. So there's a little turn off just before you get to 7th. Super busy street, but people don't even realize you turn off, you go over there and you walk into Surrey Lake, and you'll notice I remembered the birds this time. There's a little walking trail, but it's so tucked away and so peaceful, even though there's all that traffic going down 152nd. You never know it, because once you're in it, you're in this beautiful, peaceful zone. And it's another ecological park for Surrey. So it's really cool.
Yeah, sounds great. Like a little magical place.
Yeah. And you can see how it sort of, you know, lends itself to different spaces just in the first, like I do these things just to try and get people to see what it would look like in their own space, right? Putting it into an,
well, that in itself is really interesting how you do that. Yeah, I like that. Showing picture, whatever. Yeah.
That's just it. It just makes people sort of get how they can present that in their space, and you know, sort of how well it would coordinate with different settings in terms of the furniture.
Nice.
This is just this is actually an oil. I was doing a little experimentation there. It's kind of fun. And it's a slough through that area by Surrey Golf Course. And so we have a lot of sloughs in Surrey as well. Because if you just go to the edges right near the farmland, we obviously know now that there's a need for water runoff based on what's happened in the past. So that one's kind of just a little experiment there. This one's a floral experiment as well. So sometimes I like to play with, this is using different techniques as well. I think I may have a bigger version. There we go. And so when I'm doing different techniques, it's like using different paints, using different thicknesses of paint. You can see in the left corner, there's like a three-dimensionality almost to the paint there. There's inks and liquid acrylics that you can add and really create these really varied and interesting backgrounds as well. So that's basically what I was experimenting with there. Awesome. And when I look at that, I think about, you know, things like when you're walking into a place like Bear Creek Park or the Glades out in White Rock, when the city's brought in all the flowers and everything's in bloom, you know, it looks really lovely and varied and interesting that way.
Right. Nice. Yeah.
And then
something very peaceful about the garden. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I love that technique. I love that.
It's really neat. Yeah. And this is one of my absolute favorites, actually. This is Tyne Head Park. So Tyne Head is at the corner of 176 and 100. And it's got this old barn that's there, and the city preserved that barn for the sake of owls. So it's meant to be a nesting and residing place for owls. And they've got a wonderful park that's about 5 kilometers long that you can walk, and it's all they've actually created a paved trail, as well as Tyne Heads are split into 2 parks. So you've got the paved trail going by the barn here, and that's good for people on their bicycles. It's good for, basically anybody who needs a good solid trail that they can manage. And you see a lot of people walking their dogs and little kids with bikes and all that sort of thing there. But there's also the other side of 168. There's more Tyne Head Park, which is in the midst of the woods kind of thing. And I framed this one in gold, so you can sort of see what happens when you put a frame on things.
Yes.
And then I, put it in a setting as well. So it's got those lovely pinks that would coordinate really nicely with a space where you've got the pinks and the violets as well. So that's why I put that there. And yeah, I really enjoy this piece, actually. I'd be sad when it leaves, but I try to make sure I sell everything that I make, because if I sell things, then I'm motivated to paint the next one.
All right.
And I'll go for the next great thing that I want to create, sort of thing. So it keeps my walls interesting too.
I bet.
Yeah, exactly. So here's a nice loose flowing version. Also, remember I mentioned Tyne Head Park's got a rougher side and a smooth side. So this is the rough side of Tyne Head, and it's right beside a stream in Tyne Head Park. This particular stream is salmon bearing. When you go through Tyne Head Park in this area, they've actually got a salmon what's it called? Salmon habitat location where they're actually supporting the salmon run. And so it's really an interesting place to go, because the streams throughout at certain parts of year, of course, you can see the salmon actually running, and it's really an interesting park to go to at that time. But it is an amazing park for walking. And it's got the soft, cushy kind of earth to walk on, so it's very easy on the body as well. And you've always got things to see that you haven't seen before, especially around wildlife. And there's little picnic tables in the back on this one.
Right, very nice, yeah.
And that's how I framed it. And then of course I put it in the setting again.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and this is a fun little tree thing I did as well. You can see the little man in the tree here. It's got tree spirits in that park. That's coming from Tyne Head as well, that one. So, and this is the bridge in White Rock before it died. or the walkway, right? The dock. And so that was an oil. This is another technique. So I'm playing with oil pastels on this, not oil pastels, sorry. It was oil sticks that I was playing with here. So it's very loose. It's very, like kind of almost surreal looking, and just the way it presents. But on a wall, it just looks lovely, as you're enjoying it from, in terms of the house. This was the original photo that I used as the reference. So it's actually a great photo as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the photo of that. And I actually took that photo, and I'm not a photographer. So I was like, whoa, I got a good one there.
Awesome. That's so awesome. Oh,
okay, so I believe that's all of Surrey Parks.
Right.
And so I do want to try to share a little bit here. How much time do we have, by the way?
We've got another about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay, great. So I'll share a little bit of my door series here. Now, the door series is kind of a fun one. I'll start with this one here. So I call this Rue de Rivoli. This was a gate in Paris. Now, when my husband and I travel, I take pictures of doors. I love doors. I don't know what it is about doors, but apparently I'm not the only one. I know other people who do this too. In fact, as soon as I tell people I do this, they ask me to send them pictures. They'll start sending me pictures of doors. Like,
I don't see it.
So
I don't see it.
Oh, this is really a gate, but it's part of my door series, because it's actually, I see it as a door. So it just fits in with the door series. And what I did with this one, it's actually a famous gate in Paris. And in behind the gate, I put a castle.
But I'm
And
just, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm still seeing the bridge.
oh, I forgot to resume the share. So sorry. I got to resume my share again here.
Okay.
First, I think I have to stop the share and then I have to start the share again.
This is such a fun technique.
That's weird. I did that. Yeah. I don't know why it
There
went
we
back
go.
to the previous one.
All right.
Now, can you see the door?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's why you were asking about where's the door. Too funny. So anyway, all the fun of web conferencing. So yeah, so here this particular door, it's a gate in Paris, and that particular gate is leading into a mall right now. Actually, I thought that was such a shame.
Yeah.
So what I did was I basically put this castle in behind it and saw it as, this is a privileged gate. It's like you don't come in without authority allowing you in, kind of thing.
Right.
But I thought it was just a fun way to sort of represent, this was an important door. It's been, it's ancient, kind of thing. So, and this, here's the door series laid out together.
Nice.
So it's kind of interesting when you do things in series,
yeah.
right? You end up with, yes, they all start coming together, and it's kind of fascinating, the stories that start as soon as you look at a series, all spaced together. I actually have it currently sitting in my hallway in my house, and I call it the Hall of Doors.
I love it. Yeah. I was just thinking about, when, as you
I
said,
call this one Hidden Threshold.
I was just thinking about one of the things you said, like when you sell, you make your home interesting because you sell your paintings, they're hung there. So I was thinking about people coming to your place to visit, and it's like, something changed here. Your walls are different, it must be fun for them.
Yes, and I do like to do that. These door series are all done with one particular process. So I use transfers. I take the photo, all these photos I've got of doors, I take the photo and I transfer it onto the canvas, and then I modify it. So I modify it typically with oils and paint.
Right.
I usually use oil pastels. You'll notice there's a lot of texture on the door itself. That's actually from different acrylic mediums I'm using as well. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of interesting because you get this sort of old feel to it too, because my transfers always peel off a little bit messy, and then I adjust. So so it's very interesting, the outcomes I'm getting as a result of that particular process. Mm-hmm. This is one I found on a side door of a church in Paris. All the churches have this, I call this one holy entrance. Okay. All the churches have those stories in the doors quite often as well, where they're basically putting religious stories in there. Oh, right. You can't really see them perfectly, but it's interesting just seeing that there's something there, and it creates curiosity as well. So that's part of the reason I do it that way. For sure. Frame that one in gold, and it really kind of made it kind of put a tinge of importance to it, I felt, by putting the gold on as a frame.
The framing so interesting because it just changes, like when you see the painting right now without the frame. Yep. Then when you put the frame on, it just makes it a whole new painting almost, right?
Yes, exactly. I used a lot of texture on this one too. Now this is a door somebody sent me a photo of. And it just feels like sort of this ominous looking thing. It was actually, the picture was taken on the River Bray, it's my understanding, and it's almost like who's locked in there is the feeling. So I believe it's actually a cellar door for and they bury the food, so to speak, half the time in these cellars in Europe. But these are such ancient doors, like you can tell how it was the sort of whoever made the door was working with whatever materials they had on hand, obviously, to generate that door.
For sure.
So that one's very textural. There's a lot of acrylic textures in it, as well as the oil pastels. And this one came back. Let's see if I can find my way through to the next one. Oh, no, that looks like all those doors done there. And then, what other series did I want to show you? As you can see, I've actually got quite a few.
Can we look at some of your abstract?
Oh, sure.
I love all paintings, but I especially love abstract art. I find it so
okay. So and these are all the ones that are for sale. So my abstracts tend to be, they do sell actually. It's kind of interesting how abstracts sell. Let's see if I can get this to be bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's kind of fun. I call this Mother I originally called it Crazy Bird because it was like done really frenetically in terms of my painting.
Right.
I did do this one in oils with the oil sticks as well, and I changed it to Mother Protector as the name. So it's, you know, definitely the mother protecting her nest kind of feeling on it. And I just thought that that was an appropriate name for it, just right out of my head. So some of these things happen right out of my head, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know where this is going, but here we go. You know,
Love it. I love it.
This is one of my older abstracts. Actually, I did this one many years ago. This was actually part of my learning process as well with abstracts. There's kind of a story that goes around my abstracts as well. And oh, I love this one. This is my laundry room abstract. So I got a little poem right into the painting. This is obviously the dryers and the laundromat.
Right.
And it goes rumbling, tumbling, dreary dehydrators taking donkey years.
Very nice. Oh, look at that.
And this one, that was one of my originals too, from a long time ago. This kind of comes back to a time when I first started getting back into painting. What I did was I got involved in a mastermind group of sorts. I realized that to learn, I needed to work with other people. And so working with other people had me join a little collective of 4 people. One of the ladies was an abstract artist, and she's since passed away, but she was amazing as a teacher because she was originally a high school teacher. She decided to start teaching us what she was learning. So she basically taught me everything I learned about abstracts, actually. And but we used to meet once a month, and we'd basically review our work together and talk about what we learned that month. And as a group, it was fantastic. It was an excellent way to learn.
Yeah, right.
And grow my skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is that one close up.
I love that. Love it.
I call that one June. It's still around, actually. See if I can get that one a bit bigger. So this one I call Fun in the Sun. It uses a totally another technique. This one is using, I call it floating the paint. It's kind of fun because with this one, there was no brushwork at all. So this was done with, let's see if I've actually got a bigger one. I don't know what's coming next until I kind of click on the button here. So, so this one was done outside.
Right.
I basically was squeezing paint straight out of the tube. I had paint in little syringes as well. So I was putting some paint in syringes, squeeze bottles, squirting. It was very action oriented, super fun to do. Then I was actually spritzing water all over top and putting inks in, and this is how it turned out. It was so happenstance in terms of how this thing came together. Yeah. But I was feeling so free and so happy in the process in sun. And there's actually quite a bit of paint on the canvas. It had to dry really fast to get that to actually go the way it went.
Right.
I've tried to duplicate the process indoors, and when things don't dry fast enough, you can't do it.
Oh, okay.
So really hot sunny days when I take the canvas out and I lay it on the ground and I start just throwing paint at it to get really fun effects like this. I call this one Fun in the Sun.
Yeah, great. We're just about out of time. So you have one more you can show? Oh, look,
Sure.
that close-up is great.
This is a fun, I really love this one. This one I call Humanity. I wrote a really long poem to go with it.
Okay.
And this is another abstracted process where you're actually letting paint drip down the canvas. I see a lot of other artists doing this drip technique as well, and layering colors on top of colors to generate a lot of 3-dimensionality to it. So it's a very interesting way to present as well. So you can see that I do a lot of techniques.
Yeah. I see all the people.
Yes, and that's what it's about, right? The whole poem talks about the people in it. And so we've got this lone specter in the middle of the street, and you can see it. You can imagine a street, right, full of people. Yes. And here this person's walking down the street, and he's got his mind elsewhere, and he's not even aware of the people around him. This is kind of how the poem goes. And then this old lady, there's a lady down here, and I see her as someone dressed in her flamenco dancing dress.
Ah,
Like
nice.
the whole bottom is like this, big dress that she's got on. And so she's basically going off to her rehearsal. And then beside the specter is an old lady with a cane. And she's kind of blind, so she can hear everything, and she's kind of aware, but she can't see anybody. And then up in here, I felt like there was sort of multiple heads. There's 3 heads here together, so it's like a husband with his wife and his child, and they're arguing about something that somebody wants to buy, maybe. Up here is a young man. I see this as a young man. I don't know if you can see my mouse doing this, but
Yes, I
there's a
can.
young
Yeah.
man. And that young man is going off to the market to pick something up for his mother. And then off in the back, there's some heads here as well. And you're seeing there's people working, and they're setting something up, or they're doing some construction. So that was the sort of story that fell into place after I painted it. And I never, when I'm doing abstract, I never have an intention of a story. The story comes after.
Right.
Every time.
Oh, I just love this so much. I love this you doing this screen sharing, because this is the first time I've seen that. So I love that. I love your work. I love the fact that you have a story for each of your pieces of art. Plus you write poems. And, I love it all. That's so great. But unfortunately, we are out of time. But oh gosh.
I know, it's so easy for me to kind of just go on. Sorry about that.
Oh, no. We're just going to have you back a third time, because I know you have a lot there, and I just find it. I like it because you have such a variety of work, and techniques, and I find that all just so interesting and so informative. Even though I'm not a painter, I mean, I do dabble a tiny little bit, but it intrigues me, and I'm sure it intrigues the audience, right? So anyway, as I said, we're just about out of time. So I just want to thank the audience for watching. Joanne, you have a website that people can go to and check your work?
Yes, so it's just joannedennis.ca, and my name is spelled with 2 N's in both names, so JoanneDennis.ca.
Okay, so I'm sure, I'm talking to the audience there, I'm sure you enjoyed seeing these paintings as much as I did. Artwork, I don't want to say paintings, because there's more to it than painting, right? So, but I just enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you watch the next one, and tune in all the time, and subscribe and share and like and all of those wonderful things. And I wish you all.
And next time, I think what would be great is to share my process a little bit with you. So maybe I'll do a little bit of painting for you next time.
Oh, now that, yes. So stay tuned, everybody. You're going to have to come back for that one. Thanks again, everyone. Be kind and peace out. I got to find the off button.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.